Hi friend! I know many of you have been patiently waiting for this video, so I am happy to finally welcome you to my 2021 bullet journal setup. Well, kind of. Because this time, we are going to begin the setup from the very beginning of the journal's life. For the year of 2021, not only will I be setting up new bullet journal spreads, but I am also going to be making it from scratch. This will be my first ever time attempting to make my own journal. So I invite you to grab a nice snack or a warm beverage of choice, maybe even a journal of your own to work on, and you can keep me company as I embark on this journal making adventure. We'll see how this goes. So I bet you are wondering what has spurred on this ambitious idea. Well, as the year winds to an end, I have been reflecting a lot, not only on my goals and plans for the future, but how I want to go about organizing my life for the new year. I have been bullet journaling for about five years at this point, on and off, so it wasn't consistent for 5 years. In fact, it was only for 2020 that I actually completed a setup for every consecutive month. And I think this is probably because at the beginning of 2020, I started posting bullet journal setup videos on YouTube. I have only had this channel for a little under a year, and I have been so incredibly fortunate that my videos have garnered such a large audience within that time, because it was really out of nowhere, and it's something that happened so fast that I could have just never anticipated it. And eventually people began expecting to see these monthly bullet journal setups from me. So even during months that I was feeling uninspired, or I just did not feel like the bullet journal system would be that helpful for me, I would still try to come up with themes and spread ideas anyway so I could post these videos. If you see my 2020 bullet journal flip through video, which I will link in the description and the card above if you want to check that out, there were a couple of months that I would pretty much leave blank because I didn't really have any motivation to actually use the spreads and fill out my sections for it. And the months that I did feel uninspired in, it definitely reflected in how willing I was to fill these spreads out, just because I didn't really like how anything looked. Usually people would just skip out on months like these and come back to their journal when they're feeling more up for it, but I guess that is simply a result of choosing to share my journal online. As the year progressed, I kind of realized that it wasn't just my journal anymore, but it was one that I had shared with people through my channel. So it's not to say that this is a bad thing, it just was something that at the time when I made my first Plan With Me videos, I didn't fully realize what I may have been getting myself into. And I find that when I am filming these Plan With Me videos, I can't really sit down and just enjoy the process as much because I am making sure, to get a good angle. This is actually way heavier and thicker than I had anticipated. So what I think I'm trying to say is, I guess at this point, I'm not sure if bullet journaling is for me anymore. Journaling is something that I always have enjoyed, but in terms of creating an actual planning system, I think my preferences really fluctuate here. Some months I do find myself wanting to complete monthly and weekly overviews because I may have a lot going on, and there are other months that I may only need to keep a simple to-do list on my laptop or something. I don't think there is a so-called perfect planning system for me because as I am growing up and coming into adulthood, I think I'm starting to learn that I just really like to change things up. I don't like following a strict pattern or routine, at least for right now, which is probably just a reflection of my life at this point because I am going through a transitional period. I will be graduating college in the spring, which is both exciting and kind of terrifying. I know a lot of people say that college is the point in life when you start to sort of figure out your identity and your interests, but I think that for me, it was almost like I had the opposite experience. Instead of helping me narrow down my focus, I was introduced to so many new things that sparked my interest, and now I have a giant list of things that I want to try out. I think that could partly be why I am so indecisive, or just I crave change constantly right now. That and also probably being 9 months into a pandemic. But there are just so many things that I want to do and try that I find myself getting bored with sticking to a set routine as of now. I don't want to stick with something because it feels safe and then constantly be wondering what ifs about the things that I decided not to pursue. Of course, I'm not going to say to hell with all of it and just run into the post-grad life without a plan, because I don't think my brain would ever allow myself to do something like that without having 3 other backup plans as well. But I think that this is a roundabout way of me saying that I want to be a little more free from myself and my mind in 2021. Growing up, I've always been someone who's very goal-oriented, who always needed to have a master plan for life, with each step perfectly planned out. Hence why I really fell in love with bullet journaling in the first place. It's a system that breaks down your entire year by months and then weeks, having everything perfectly organized in a straightforward setup. And it was really helpful for me during school because I had such a clear set goal, to finish the school year with good grades and stuff. And the steps to getting to that goal were straightforward as well. Complete this homework assignment, take an exam, etc. There was a clear direction in where I want to go and what I needed to do to get there. I feel like people don't talk about this functionality side of bullet journaling that much because with social media, it has become a lot more about how your journal actually looks. And I actually think that it's that side of it, more of the creative, artistic side, is where I want to shift my priority with journaling. At least that's what I have observed of myself over the latter half of the year. I think right now, in terms of planning, I don't need a whole lot to keep me organized. I pretty much only need a calendar so I can view how the month is set up and a to-do list. I actually have been keeping a sort of digital weekly checklist on the Notes app of my laptop where I write down the things that I need to get done each day. So essentially what a bullet journal is for. And I think that I find it easiest for me to plan things digitally nowadays. It's just a lot less hassle and it's easier to move things around and you don't have to cross anything out and stuff. And I would much rather use my journal as a creative place to design and make cute spreads about whatever I may be feeling in the mood for. So I think that is how I will use this journal going into 2021. It'll kind of be a journal for whatever. I'll be using it mostly for simple overviews of the month, I think, like those calendar spreads where I can decorate it to my heart's desire. And then I may just do most of my planning digitally, but of course I could easily change my mind and want to go back to doing everything by hand. And that is why, now I have this handmade journal that I can use however I please. I don't even know if this can be considered a bullet journal at this point. Technicalities aren't too important to me. I guess this is kind of a free-for-all journal. So yes, that was my very long-winded explanation of how I will be planning and organizing myself for 2021. And I also just realized that I didn't even get to why I want to make my own journal in the first place. I am so sorry. As you can tell, I tend to be a very introspective person, and I probably put too much thought into this and any and everything I seem to do. But yes, back to this journal. One thing that I learned over the months of quarantine is that I really enjoy to make things with my hands, be that creative and artistic or something a little more functional or useful like food. If you watch my vlog videos, I do a lot of cooking and sewing, and I recently wanted to give bookbinding a go. I was taking a book arts class last semester, but I dropped it after only a few weeks because I simply had too much on my plate at the time, and this was only a 2-unit course, so I thought, it's not necessary for me to put my time here while I have other things I need to take care of first. I had some supplies with me that my professor shipped over for that class, and I felt horrible letting it collect dust in the corner of my room after I had dropped the class. So I thought, why not give bookbinding a shot? I didn't actually get to any binding while I was in that class for 3 weeks, so I had to do some research on my own, watch a few tutorials here and there, but I'm pretty impressed with what I came up with. This took me a whole day to make, and I found it to be quite relaxing. Okay, folding all of those pages in the beginning was very tedious, and making sure they were all the same size and perfectly aligned. Yeah, that part wasn't particularly fun, but the binding part I really enjoyed. It's something very similar to sewing. It's like hand stitching. It's something that I was able to get a little bit lost in, and I could let my hands work on autopilot as I listened to a podcast or watched a show or something. I find these activities to be very relaxing and peaceful for me. As a first attempt at bookbinding, I'm very happy with how this journal turned out. Some of the pages are not quite aligned, and I definitely encountered some points where I made mistakes. But when I did, it was more of like oh, I know how to fix this, or I know how to avoid making the same mistake next time type of thing. So, learning from the experiences of life. In terms of style with this setup, it is way more minimal than I am used to making for my bullet journal. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to go for with the look of it yet, so just laid down some nice pastel colors that I like and figured I could go in and fill things out whenever I please if I come up with any ideas for it. I'm probably going to fill the space in with stickers and washi tape. Those things I don't see changing anytime soon as far as my journaling interests go. But yeah, I'm not gonna put too much pressure on myself this year to fill out journals. I'm just gonna kind of go with the flow and see where my creativity takes me. And with that, we have reached the end of this bullet journal setup. Bullet journal? If we can even call it that at this point. I hope your holidays are going well so far, and I want to thank you so much for spending just a little bit of your time with me today as I made this journal. with that, my 2021 bullet journal is complete. It literally took me the whole entire day to finish this journal. I began working on it around 11 a.m.-ish when I woke up, and then right now it is about 20 minutes past midnight. But I'd say that for my very first time and attempt at bookbinding, it's pretty understandable why it took so long. And I basically learned how to do this all through online tutorials and research. So I'm pretty proud of what I've accomplished today. And I think that making my own journal this year just makes it feel all the more special and personal. It did take a lot of work, and I don't know if I'd be down to do this every year, but I feel really happy with the outcome. In terms of future bullet journal videos on this channel, I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll include some little clips here and there on my vlogs of different weekly or monthly setups, and maybe I'll share more pictures with it on Instagram. But in terms of regular monthly setup videos, I probably won't be doing those. Thank you for sticking by me as I created and set up my 2021 bullet journal. Take care, friend.